I was born, the church was located at 16th and West End, and I was baptized there. Dr. George Stoves was the pastor here when the decision was made to make that move. The quarterly conference named a building committee, of which my father was chairman. I was born in 1926, and I think the church decided to move in 1927.
Dr. George Stoves was the minister, and he was the most charismatic, just wonderful man. He had this infectious smile, and he loved the Lord so, and he just looked up to heaven like he was talking to God all the time that he preached. And Dr. Stoves was just a catalyst that brought this church together. He just did.
When they outgrew the building that was down on the Jim Reed parking lot, they wanted to move. So they moved out, bought property here, and started the education building first. And it was finished in 1929. They entered it the Sunday before Black Tuesday when the stock market fell. So the original intent had been to immediately begin construction on the sanctuary. That was not possible because they just did not have the money due to the stock market crash.
We were all optimists. We thought this depression was going to leave in a hurry, but it didn't. It took a long time to get over.
When the building committee hired an architect to do the building, they hired a very prominent Nashville architect, Donald Southgate.
So there's a great push near the end of the 30s to get the building built. The original building that they had planned was going to be a little bit bigger. The ceiling was going to be another 6 feet taller, higher. The narthex was going to be bigger. It would have gone further out into West End Avenue. Due to the Depression and money, it was not as ornate as originally planned, nor as large.
In the original plans, it showed a chapel to seat 200 people on the left side. Just grass there. That was to be a chapel.
The west lawn has a foundation for a steeple, which was never built. They had intended to build right away. They could not, but their commitment was so strong that even during these 10 years that they met at Vanderbilt, at Neely Auditorium, they would have Sunday school in the Sunday school building and then parade across the West End Avenue and through the Vanderbilt campus to have their worship setting.
They had a policeman over here on West End, which wasn't as busy then as it is now, but he helped us across the street and stop the traffic, and we all went over there and worshiped together.
So it would have been quite a sight to see that many people all dressed in their Sunday best, traipsing over to Vanderbilt. And that time of 10 years, I think really evidences a very strong commitment to this area, to this building, and to take that amount of time without a permanent sanctuary, a permanent home for their church, I think was very, very telling back in those days.
In 1933, we changed to Dr. Costin J. Harrell, and he was brought here because he was a fundraiser. He could raise money from the crowd. I mean, preach a sermon and inspiring us to give what they need. He was wonderful.
Costin J. Harrell. He married me.
During that time, they raised money in a variety of ways.
Money was hard to come by.
All the women of the church decided that they were going to have a fundraiser, and they thought up a Caledonian market. And so we had it. They brought cows from her farm, and they brought chickens and coops and so forth, and then all the women brought all the extra things they had, like a white elephant sale. And so we brought them all here, and we had it on the lawn over here on the Louise Avenue side. And it was a big success, and we made a whole lot of money.
Widows were encouraged to give their wedding rings.
Many people would give diamond rings to build an arch, to put in pews. One lady who the choir rails is in memory of was Willie Williams. She was one of the first communicants of this church. She left that money from her will when she died to put that choir rail in. So people remember the church in a variety of ways. And they had a real commitment, I believe, because it was a difficult time for a lot of people to give money during the Depression to build that sanctuary. They entered the new building on Passion Sunday, which is the Sunday before Palm Sunday, March 10th, 1940.
Well, I just have always thought those stained windows in the sanctuary were just magnificent.
The windows that were given to the church were done by a Philadelphia glassmaker and DeCincio. studios. It's very trademark design. The windows were given at varying points early on in the building of the sanctuary, of the finishing of it, by many families in the church.
Not only is the window behind the choir so beautiful, but all these windows are. And so many of them are memorials to people I knew.
When you look at them, they try to put in something of the attribute of that person that the window honored. Those windows are very personal.
One of them is a Dobson window. Matt and Sophie Dobson were staunch members of this church. There's a Pete Cavert window up there.
My mother and father and my aunt gave the whole things on the St. Clair Craig one, and it was in memory of grandmother. Some of the Morgans gave the window over the choir loft.
You come in here, you're awed by the beauty of it.
And it's a beautiful structure.
It is a very dignified cathedral.
If you look at the church, the education building, as well as the sanctuary, I think you'll see a permanence about it. It's got a strength. The interior walls are very thick. This place was built to last. And I think they were building not just for themselves, but for their future. The future of this church, the future of their children, and the future of other people to come. The church buildings of that period were very important for identities for each church. I think that comes from our connection to the Judeo world, to say we're doing our best, we're giving our best as we should for God. And in West End Church, we want to build our best. We want to do our best. And that's why they took, I think, so long. They wanted something that was going to make a statement about their love and concern and connection to God and the importance of God in their lives, because they did sacrifice. And without their sacrifice, we would not have this building. And I think it says a great testimony to their faith and their beliefs.
In those days, they played music at the end of a sermon, and they'd say, anybody wants to join the church, come forward, God's waiting for you. And God spoke to me that night, and he says, you go up there, girl. It's been the best decision I ever made in my life, because this church has meant everything in my life. My babies were all christened here. My husband died here. I'm going to be buried here. I've got a place already paid for to columbarium.
Today, I feel we have an opportunity. And that opportunity, I think, is to continue that legacy, that lineage of honoring God, of showing our faith through keeping this building in the best possible shape so that it can continue beyond our generation for our children and their children, and be that mission in the center of the city that is a beacon to many people. This church has been a wonderful refuge over the years. It's been a place of weddings. It's been a place of baptism. It's been a place of funerals. It's been a place of joys, of sadness. And I think it's the kind of like the Temple of Jerusalem. It's a place people went to.
The church is bigger than anything, but it has to have a center. And the center of this church is our buildings. Children
come here to be cared for during the week. We have outreach programs that takes care of the hungry. We have anonymous groups that come to this building. We ourselves come for Bible studies. We have this Sunday school that we come to be enriched and to learn more and to dig deeper into our faith. So often we turn to the church because that's where we come when we're our most vulnerable. It's important that this building be able to carry on that ministry, because that's part of who we are, this building. And how we carry that on is dependent upon how this building is cared for.
The building has got to be put into condition. You can't let the building fall down around you.
And as we need things, we're going to have to keep on raising money so we can add to this building and help it, because it's aging, just like I am. And the members, we're all getting older and older, and we need fixing up every now and then.
It's not about us. And so even in these hard times, I still think we have that obligation, and it does call for us to sacrifice. The building we live in is not just stone, it's just not mortar. It's the building that helps us live out our ministry.
the heart of this congregation has been stirred to think of the generations that shall follow us. And we are building a temple that shall be for them a holy shrine. At this season of the year, one may think of our church as a Christmas gift to the future. The impulse to leave something behind us that will brighten and bless the lives of unborn generations is in all our hearts. And there is no experience more satisfying than yielding to that benevolent impulse. The part that we have had in erecting such an edifice will be the most enduring contribution that many of us will be able to make to the long years that lie ahead. This thought makes radiant all our efforts and sacrifices.